So tomorrow, November 20th, Wednesday, November 20th, in Mountain Time at 11:47 p.m. in Mountain Time. So you do need to adjust that to your own time zone. We have a new moon in Scorpio. And I have been thinking a lot about this particular new moon, mainly because it is kind of like in a very interesting moment of the year. And it's also very much connected to pretty much everything in the chart. So it's something that it's a new moon that, connects to all the planets. Pretty much all the planets, and the only one that is not like directly making an aspect to is the rulers of Scorpio, which is Mars and Pluto, and then Venus is also in Scorpio there, together with the Sun, the Moon, and Mercury. So it's a very interesting new moon that is basically the fact that it's connected to everything. Kind of tells us that it's very relevant to all the processes that we have been going through this year, all of this newness of 2025. I've mentioned this many times in captions and stuff before, but 2025 was a year, and you probably heard this from other astrologers as well. 2025 has been a year that gave us kind of like a trailer of the movie that will be unfolding in the next 3 years, 7 years, and 13 years. And I'm talking about Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune that have these years-long cycles. So all of them entered new signs in 2025 in the summer, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. That was during the summer. And so what kinds of things what are you experiencing right now? Because this Scorpio season, that it's almost come to an end now, this same week, the sun, right after the new moon, 2 days after. So the new moon's on Wednesday night or early on Thursday, depending on where you are. And then 2 days after, so on Friday, the sun goes into Sagittarius, and then we go into Sagittarius season, and the vibe changes a little bit. But for this whole Scorpio season, we've been deep in water. We've been deep in water with, at the very least, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 things in water sign, right? So water signs are about feeling. Water signs are about emotion. And the moment that we are in, where I'm sure you've also heard, there's a lot of retrograde planets as well. We have Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, Uranus, Jupiter, all retrograde, right? But it's not just that. I am seeing a comment there. My life has been upside down all year. It has been, Chantal, I'm sorry to hear. It has been a year of a lot of change because of these new energies. And the thing is also, these energies didn't settle in 2025. That's the other thing. So just to answer to that a little bit, I have this map here. So it was during, let's see. So the energy shifts began when first it was Neptune. It was at the end of March. Neptune leaves Pisces after 13 years in Pisces and goes into Aries. A whole new energy that we started perceiving. And then Saturn also goes into into Aries, out of Pisces and into Aries in early June. And then Uranus shifted signs from Taurus to Gemini early July. So that was all unfolding between March, April, June, right? We opened up all these new chapters, and on top of that, also Jupiter shifted signs. Well, Jupiter does that every year, right? But it adds to it. That happened in June. And so all of a sudden we found ourselves in this new reality, in this perhaps new chapter starting to be felt, maybe I'm done with what I have been doing in the past few years. Speaking of Uranus, that would have been the past 7 years, so since 2018, and now it gave us a trailer between July and end of October, early November, and and now it's gone. It's back into Taurus to make sure that we kind of tied up any loose ends regarding the past. the past chapter, right? But we might, but those beginnings didn't settle. That's kind of like the thing of 2025, that it gave us just kind of like a preview, you know. And so what kinds of things have you noticed in that spring summer of this year, and what kinds of things are you emotionally experiencing right now that might have to, I don't know if, like, I would love to know if any of you, oh my god, seeing comments, I will read, but I'm curious to ask you, and also just for your own reflection, like, you don't need to tell me, but how has been this Scorpio season for you? Because it's been so much water energy, and sometimes, especially with Scorpio, we just go into the depths, you know, like sometimes conversations that hadn't been had just like come to a point where like, this is overwhelming, I need to share it. Or we happen to have some sort of therapy, some sort of reading and stuff, and we found out something that we were not aware of, that was just kind of hiding in our subconscious or unconscious, and it just comes up out of the graveyard of like Scorpio land. So sometimes it has to do with that, but other times Scorpio also, and Pluto, its planet, has to do with hiding, with something becoming unconscious, with like digging it, and I don't want to know about this. So depending, it can be either way, right? But yeah, thank you Brooke, that's so sweet of you. Hello everybody. Do you have Saturn in your moon in Pisces? I also have Uranus like so on top of my sun right now. I'm a 29-degree Taurus, so I'm just like, leave me alone, please. But you know what? The Uranus effect also has been liberating. It has been a whole adventure for me personally. Uranus in Taurus. I moved to a different country. My astrology practice pretty much like expanded, and now I'm feeling like I've come to like an end of a chapter with that whole thing, and I'm starting to think, what's next? What's my next revolution? What's my next process of liberation? What else am I gonna be freeing myself of in the next 7 years? That is this next Uranus chapter, when Uranus is in Gemini. Court case in June. Once the left will be a lot freer. Oh my god, hopefully this means that yes, 2026 starts to bring resolution to that. Actually, that's very interesting. I have a very close friend who's also going through a court case that kind of like started around the same time. She's a Scorpio rising. That's really interesting. Yes. Okay. All right. Chiron in Taurus retrograde. Oh, yeah, you've been having Uranus over your Chiron, then that's also not so comfortable. Chiron has a lot to do with what's it called? Healing, right? So, yeah. Okay, so focusing on this new moon. Oh wow. Oh my god, like court cases, hey? Like that's interesting. That's insane. Yeah. We're very curious. Sometimes that would be very curious to see how your charts connect to that situation. Right? Okay. Anyway, getting back to the new moon in Scorpio. So one thing that I've been noticing about this moment and about this new moon is that, you know, not only we've had this like immense amount of water energy, which can bring a lot of emotion, can bring like I was saying, unconscious material, kind of feel a bit depressing sometimes. I've definitely been feeling those spells of depression. And, you know, with so much of the planets retrograde as well. But it's not only that, it's also that the planets are in this like pivotal moments where like we just had Jupiter go retrograde in Cancer like a week ago. We have Mercury retrograde, and And in the new moon, it's conjunct the new moon. So it's right there. And when Mercury meets the sun, or that's also known as Mercury Cazimi, or the Cazimi of any planet, it's when they meet the sun. And that is the moment in the Mercury retrograde where there's like a reset of sorts. Like Mercury is our brain. It's like our more logical stuff. Yes, you guys should connect. Anyway, sorry, distracted. So Mercury, when Mercury meets the sun, there's like this reset point. So it's one of the most critical moments of the Mercury retrograde. I put those dates in like previous posts. It shouldn't be so hard to find because I haven't been posting much. So you should be able to find that easily. And there's like a reset moment. So our mind in this new moon is just kind of like not able to do what it usually does, right? Like I've been trying to record this for a week and my mind is just not being able to, or I've been just like not feeling great, or, you know, just too emotional, or things have happened too where I have had to feel the feels, and just sometimes you just can't run away from that, right? And so critical moment of the Mercury retrograde, critical moment of Jupiter just gone retrograde, and then also critical moment of both Saturn and Neptune because they're both about to end the retrograde. Saturn goes first, so Saturn ends the retrograde at the end of the month, and then a little bit into December we have Neptune also. So it's such a like, I described it in stories a few, like yesterday or a couple days ago. I was talking about like this pullback of the tide. So, you know, when you're like, you know, ocean waves, right? And it's like the moment we're in right now, because of all the water and because of all the retrograde and because of where the retrogrades are, like because of the moment, like the turning around. So when planets are turning retrograde or getting out of retrograde, they're extremely slow. So that means that from our perspective, obviously from the perspective of Earth, they're not moving much. So they're kind of like concentrated, like intensifying that point in the zodiac. And those points are all water. They're all water. Jupiter, Neptune, Saturn, Mercury, they're only water signs, all of the water signs. And so we are in this moment, like this new moon is happening in this moment where the tide, to me, like it feels like that tide is like as back as it can go. You know, it's like the pullback. And that's a very yin moment, if you know what I mean. It's not a moment of like, yeah, there we go. Like it would have been maybe earlier this year, right? Like back here. And it's like, and it's a moment like generally Mercury retrograde, even if there wasn't anything else retrograde, but we have a total of 6 things. So like, even if it was just Mercury retrograde, it's more of a moment of reflection than action, right? So it's always recommended, you know, try to not make like full-on decisions, like be open or flexible to those things or plans or whatever to like change or maybe delays, you know, that's like the classical Mercury retrograde stuff. But like with everything else also retrograde, and in these moments of like about to finish the retrogrades, it's like it feels to me a lot like I've been feeling a lot of that image of, also my intuition has been crazy. That's the other thing. I don't know if you guys, but anyway, it feels a lot like that image of the tide pulling back. And so what does that mean? That means before the action continues to unfold in 2026, which will be between February onwards, I would say, just to make sure of what I'm saying is right. So like, yes, so Saturn in mid-February goes back into Aries. For Jupiter, it changes signs in middle of the year, but Uranus in April, Neptune does so it's back in Aries in its new energy in January. So like January, February, April, like these energies will activate again. So again, we're going to have like spring, summer next year will be again like the action time, and like, whoa, things start moving forward again, and maybe new things that we have, right? So right now, this pullback of the tide, This Scorpio new moon is about making sure that we really know, that we have taken the time to dig, to I think it's a great time to take some healing practices, some therapies, right? Make sure that you really are directing your efforts in the direction that you really want them to go. Sometimes all these things, all these new beginnings of that have unfolded in 2025, all these new energies, like they may have been just like experiments, sometimes, because that energy wouldn't stay. That energy wouldn't stay. We're now back in the old energy right now and through the winter. So it was not meant to stay. I remember earlier in the year, I launched this webinar. Some of you may have heard of it, some of you may have not. It was called Cosmic Child. It was about combining astrology and inner child healing, and I was so excited about it. I thought it was going to be like this big thing. Well, it was not a big thing, but it was a beautiful attempt. It was a good try. I was happy I tried it because it gave me some footing. It was like, okay, I took a few steps, right? I took a few steps in the direction that felt like it was right, but maybe the whole project or the final thing will look different than that. It will just be kind of similar, but then I'll look back 3 years from now and it'll be like, oh, those were my first attempts to do what I have now done. You know what I mean? So thank you so much, Brooke. That's so sweet. I just saw your comment. Thank you. Yes, so that is something that I really wanted to share with you guys because, like, it's felt very heavy. I know it has been. I don't even need to say it. Like, it has been tough for me personally. Like, when I say digging the unconscious, I've literally been in this like new healing things that have like uncovered stuff that I was not expecting, and that really throws you off and you cannot like really function. It's kind of like you have to like just take the time to feel. Or I have a very dear friend who's going through something really tough, and that also, I know how that's affecting her, but it's also affecting me as my dear friend. It's like, and we're having to experience these things. We're just having to sit with the feelings. And generally, society today does not give a lot of room for emotional experience. We can be super in our feelings, but still have to shut it down and go work. And that's the world we live in. So when we have so much water in the astrology and so much retrograde and all this stuff, progress is progress, and yes, the healing, and we're still showing up, so I just want to give you some grace. I want to give you some grace. It's not easy to go through the water signs. The water signs are probably the most challenging of all of them for our current society. I just saw the time, it's 5:55. It's like the things, always the signals are there. Anyway, so I just and the last thing I want to mention, the emotional experiences that we're having, like the feelings, the intuitions, the perceptions, the dreams, however these things are showing up for you, are informing you. It's actually productive changes. Yeah. It is informing you about what you really want, where you really want to go, what you really are going. And the last thing I wanted to mention is Mars. Mars is also, just as Pluto, ruler of the new moon, because they're both planets of Scorpio. Mars is in Sagittarius at the moment of the new moon, and it is in a challenging position with the nodes, which are the eclipse points. So that's that Mars there. It feels to me like this, challenge to not stay, yes, feel the feelings, have your experience, but also allow that to inform your decisions moving forward. Allow that to inform what the vision is moving forward. And even if it's an internal decision, which is what I would more like recommend for right now. Allow that to inform your internal decision. You know what I mean? Things will be unfolding much more quickly and much more like in a yang kind of energy moving forward from here. Not just because we're gonna exit Scorpio season soon and enter Sagittarius, which is fire. It's much more yang. And then we go into Capricorn and then Aquarius, right? Like these are much more active signs. Like this is our last bit of a lot of water, so it's kind of like your last permission slips to to feel it all and just like make sure that you felt it all. And honestly, like I am personally done. Like I'm just like I just want to stop feeling the feels. But anyway, this is where we're at now. Okay, and then next year, like I was telling you, like between the end of January onwards, like the energy already begins to shift into the next energies, which are, you know, I think oh my God, I keep forgetting, but Saturn is, no, it's not Saturn first. It's Neptune is first. Neptune goes into, when is it? It's at the very end of January. Yeah, January 26th. Goes back into Aries, and then it will stay in Aries. No more Neptune in Pisces confusion. But at the same time, no more Neptune in Pisces heightened thin veils. You know what I mean? So there's pros and cons to the yin and the yang, but basically we're in a very yin moment right now, and things will become more and more yanger towards the following months. So yeah, don't worry, energy will shift. Oh my God. Yes. I feel that, you know, the tiredness. It's been a wild ride, and honestly, we should be resting all through the winter. Like, humanity's crazy, but we should hibernate, seriously. But try to give yourself some grace. Like, you know, if emotion doesn't come up, like, what moon sign do you have? You know, like, what does your emotional nature need? Maybe you need to talk it out. Maybe you need to do some exercise. Maybe you need to art it out, you know, like we'll have our different, yes, I will post this. And then I'm also recording here with the mic because I'm going to upload it as a podcast. Okay, that was it. That was everything. I hope that this was helpful. Give yourselves grace. Things will change. Nothing lasts forever. And if this is being a good time for you, that's great. You know, you're not, you know, mine is also a Pisces moon. Yes. And I go from needing to avoid to needing to cry everything, and just, your Leo moon needs to work out. That makes sense. Fire moons. Yes. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. I know this was a complete surprise, so I really appreciate you all for staying here with me, and love y'all. I am still here. I know I don't post much, but I'm here all the time. So thank you. Happy new moon, and have a good night, guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.